A message for Mulder is left at a jewelry store crime scene. Turns out it's from a man Mulder helped put away years ago. The thing is, the man is supposed to be dead. Who is this mysterious criminal bent on getting even with Mulder?
This is not happening.
Hello and welcome to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast.
I still don't get it.
What does this have to do with us?
Robbing a jewelry store is a federal crime.
Thank you.
I don't know. I got a call from some guy I used to work with over the violent crime section. Said it was important.
Reggie.
Oh, man, I hate it when you do that.
This is Special Agent Scully, Reggie Purdue.
How are you?
So what happened here?
Lone gunman took out a sales girl after she filled up a bag for him.
You guys turn up anything?
Not much, except this. It's gonna blow your mind.
Why?
I'm telling you, Mulder, this is going to blow your mind.
What is it?
Wait a second.
You see what I called you?
What about witness descriptions?
White male, 5'11" to 6 feet, ski mask.
Damn it, Reggie, that's Barnett.
Yeah, but it can't be.
Who's Barnett?
It was my first case at the Bureau. Barnett was doing armed jobs all over D.C., getting away with it. Very trigger-happy, killed 7 people. There was this big task force. Reggie was my ASAC. I was 28 years old, right out of the academy. I had this theory on the case. Reggie thought I was full of it. I was full of it.
What was the theory?
That Barnett had an inside connection. An employee at the armored car company was tipping him off about large shipments of cash. Turns out I was sort of right.
Sort of?
Yeah, we planted bogus waybills, manifest with the armored car company to try to set a trap, but Barnett was way ahead of us. That's when the notes started.
Fox can't guard the chicken coop.
Clever, huh?
Good day, evening, and afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. I'm Andrew, and here with me is Mike. Say hello to the nice people.
How's it going?
So, Young at Heart, written by Scott Kofer and Chris Carter. This is the only episode Scott Kofer has written for the franchise. Directed by Michael Lange. Lange? Lang? Okay.
I think so, I don't know.
Yeah, that works for me. Lang has directed Miracle Man from season 1, and he also did Ascension in 2 and Unrequited in season 4. So not his only kick at the can. We'll see him again.
No, he's got a couple good episodes right there.
Yeah, they are good. And there's a lot going on in this episode. That is a way of describing this particular episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as usual, I think we'll go to final thoughts to describe, our reactions to that. I would like to just dive in, start choking the life out of this episode. So we open up on the Tashmoo Federal Correctional Facility in Pennsylvania, circa 1989. Our camera pans over a medical ward with an inmate rolling himself in a wheelchair to see an empty bed. Screams from the hallways scare him, and he moves to investigate through the creepy and dark hallways. He opens a door of an operating room, wheeling himself in to see a doctor performing what appears to be an amputation of a man's arm. Dude asks, "What did you do to Johnny?" The doctor tells him to go back to his room. This man is dead. And when the inmate protagonist challenges the doctor on this, the doctor threatens him with a scalpel. "You didn't see or hear anything. John Barnett is dead." And with that, our man Crandall moves to leave, looking back at the dead man, whose glassy eyes blink. Drop to credits.
And of course, we recognize Gordon Tipple as the wheelchair-bound inmate.
Yes. Yeah, he's been in, what was the episode he was in before this?
Before this, can't remember, but I know I called him out then too. But he's also from Humbug. It's probably his most common role that people remember.
Yeah, solid. I like this opening. I will argue that for me, it's the best part of the episode.
I mean, the opening works for me.
Yeah.
I think it casts questions immediately. And, why is this guy being told he's dead when he's alive?
Well, and what the heck is this operation happening in a correctional facility. Like this is not life-saving, to be sure.
Yeah.
It has all the hallmarks of bad science, like why is this happening to this guy? But yeah, I think it's pretty, it opens a lot of questions up, which I'm looking forward to the episode to solve.
Yeah.
So we go back to Washington, present day, and Mulder and Scully have been called in to advise on what looks to be a jewelry store heist. And we're introduced to Reggie Perdue, an agent with whom it looks like Mulder goes back, ways back.
I love this chemistry they've got immediately.
Oh, they legitimately like each other, or at least
one of the best. We've talked several times about how they try to shoehorn in characters and past relationships into this show, and it just hasn't quite been successful yet.
Yeah.
But this one is, I love it.
Well, I'm afraid to say that the moment we saw Reggie and the Mulder liked him, I thought, he's not making it out of this episode alive,
Unfortunately, yeah, that's a good sign.
All I needed was for Reggie to say this was his last case, and after this one, he's going to retire.
I'm going to retire.
Get
a lake house.
Got me a boat, cabin cruiser, 32 feet. I've moved finally out to Florida. Hang up my shield.
They cut the cliche short on this one, but it's still there a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, exactly. So Perdue produces some evidence that is going to blow Mulder's mind.
Gonna blow your mind.
And it does. It's something which suggests that the suspect in the armed robbery is John Barnett, to which both Perdue and Mulder agree, well, that can't be. And he was sentenced to 340 years in prison, where apparently he died 4 years ago. So
that was a long time.
Yeah, I think that's a lot for armed robberies, but listen.
Well, this one resulted in deaths, so, I guess I understand that.
It's a big deal. And, listen, you want to send a message to the other robbers of the world that crime doesn't pay.
Right.
But, the note there says, do we get a copy of what the note says at this point?
Fox can't guard the chicken coop.
Yeah, exactly. So it is the callback that we'll eventually learn as the episode progresses that this is a callback to what Barnett had been writing during the course of his heists.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, Perdue not going to make it. This is very similar to how they dropped Jerry in Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah.
He just sort of comes in and is like, Jerry, hey, how are you? But without the...
Both two-syllable names.
Oh, true. Yeah. I guess if you had 3 syllables, that would... Well, no, Phoebe Green. She shouldn't have made it.
Yeah. And we hated her. So,
There's all sorts of reasons why she shouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
Well, she does, and I'm sorry. I guess we blew it for the audience. Reggie does not make it through this. But again, if you haven't watched the episode,
we don't know yet.
It's true. Anything can happen. All right. Well, moving on, Mulder goes to consult Anderson down in handwriting analysis.
Okay, I'm just going to stop us right here.
Sure.
Whatever we're going to think about this episode, so far, pretty good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I like Anderson, too. She's really good.
I like her, too. I wish that she came back, that, she was a Danny-like character.
Yeah.
Or at least she could have been.
Yeah, she takes care of some of the back office stuff in this case, the fingerprinting analysis. And this is the only time we see her, but her exchanges with Mulder are very natural, and they're kind of ribbing each other, or she's ribbing him.
Well, there's some innuendo there, right? Like she's saying, I don't know how long it takes you, but I don't know personally how long it takes you. I've had it for 10 minutes. I don't know how long it takes you. But no, there's a nice chemistry there, and it'd be nice if we saw it again. But maybe she hated it. Maybe
Get me off the set.
Dave Duchovny was a jerk on set, perhaps.
the 3 minutes she's on scene.
I am never doing this show again.
I'm never working with David Duchovny again.
Well, she reviews the note and agrees it is likely Barnett who wrote it. And meanwhile, downstairs, Perdue and Scully are reviewing video footage of the takedown of Barnett. And we see that we have FBI agents surrounding Barnett and his hostage at the armored car. And finally, Barnett shoots his hostage, and then there's some more gunfire, and then he eventually gets shot by Mulder. And the big deal is that Mulder could not have taken the shot earlier because it isn't by the book. You can't endanger a hostage. So
something he has thrown to the wind.
Yes. Well, it's an interesting, we'll talk about that, but it's an interesting point of contention here that because Mulder was a rules follower at that point.
At that point, yeah.
Mr.
I meant, yeah, in the future.
Mr. Yes. Well,
Rules?
Senior Agent Wallenberg's going to get shot in the face because Mulder played by the rules. And at the trial, Barnett's trial, he said he was going to get Mulder.
Yeah. So skipping to the trial, Mulder is explaining the reasoning behind his actions because he's being deposed. Or, what's the word?
It's not cross-examined because, although, to be fair, I mean, not a lawyer, but he's clearly being...
he's being led. He's being
led,
asked softball questions. So she's on his side. I think it's one of those situations
well,
where...
she's the Crown.
It's a...
Well, or the district attorney, excuse me, is American.
Yeah.
So she's the DA, but she shouldn't be asking leading questions. She should be getting him to tell the story rather than leading him. So, the defense attorney is clearly falling asleep on the job here.
Objection!
Leading the witness,
You
Your Honor.
clearly have an answer in mind.
But we can probably tear this scene apart a little later when it actually happens, Mike.
True. Okay.
But what did you want to say about the exposition here?
Well, no. Let's just go. I'll move on.
So Mulder and Scully catch up and share their findings. Scully proposes that Barnett may have organized a revenge plot from prison that's being executed by someone else. So effectively, Barnett is getting his revenge from beyond the grave.
Yeah, they have the death certificate there that corroborates his death, supposedly.
Yeah, he died of a heart attack, apparently. So Mulder then has a little pity party. He laments about not pulling the trigger sooner, doubting himself for following the rules, as it might have saved the life of a fellow agent. I think that this is the writer's attempt to shoehorn a little character onto the character, much like they did with Fire in Fire.
Yeah, agreed.
They've given him this little existential backstory, how little Jimmy Wallenberg or whatever is going to grow up without a dad, and it's all Mulder's fault. And I got to imagine that there was some post-shoot crisis counseling offered to Mulder where they told him that it wasn't his fault, that he did everything by the book, he can't blame himself.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this to cast Mulder as a terrible person, but I have a hard time believing he feels any responsibility for this.
Yeah.
The situation was exactly as described, and let's just say that is FBI protocol.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong. And yeah, it sucks, but I don't feel like this years later he'd be feeling this way. Like, it's just not who I've seen Mulder as up to this point.
I totally agree. It does come out of left field, although this is historical Mulder that we're talking about. It's something from his past that they're telling us he is feeling some guilt about. But if you want to look at it another way, him coming up from behind Barnett essentially made their tactical situation very tricky because now the three or four agents in front can't shoot without risking hitting Mulder.
Exactly.
So
you've got a circle here.
Yeah.
If he fires and misses, then he kills someone. And
exactly.
If they do, they kill him.
So, it really is his fault.
Mulder, don't go around back. Don't go. God damn it, he went around back.
He's just this rogue.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So there's a thought there. We move on to Fox and his, daily habit of going to be a voyeur at children's football games. Again, something that will...
No, this case is just drudging up feelings for him.
Yeah, this is a thing that he'll totally have friends with agents' families that he's lost along the way. And
This is the montage moment without the actual montage. He's mustering up the courage to pursue this case and get to the bottom of it.
I suppose, yeah. It's kind of ham-handed. This is not something that they will go back to the well for, thankfully. But in this moment, you just it follows on so quick from, there's a kid who's never gonna, his dad's never gonna see him play ball, and so now he's gonna fill in and look over the kid,
Yeah.
It just, all right, sure.
You know what? The only thing this episode is missing is him tossing a football to the kid at the end.
Want to have a catch? Jimmy,
You want to go have a catch, Jimmy?
let me tell you about your father.
He was a good man.
He was a great agent until he got shot in the face.
Before he got his face sheared off.
Yeah. So, could have done without that. I mean, really the saving grace for this scene is that it does move the plot together when he goes back to his car and he finds an envelope sitting on his car door, I guess in the front seat.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's got pictures of him and a little note that says, "A hunted fox eventually dies."
Not very ominous. It's like the writer's trying to sound cool.
Yeah.
But it's just not coming off very well.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a lot with Fox there. But what it's doing is it's alluding to a larger story in the past.
Yes.
You know, that the notes that Barnett had given sort of led to a larger story, possibly a more interesting story, except that this one goes way off the rails pretty soon. But I would like to point out that the pictures that are in this, they're like 8x10 black and white glossies.
Yeah.
So Barnett is a real Renaissance man. We're gonna learn. In addition to being a jewelry store robber, he is an excellent photographer.
Oh yeah,
and he's working with high quality film.
He's doing very well, and he has a lot of time.
Yeah,
because when did he take these photos, and how did he get them developed so fast?
Yes. and you can break into the car too. Maybe Mulder. Maybe Mox Folder. That's the name he's gonna have now. So maybe Mulder just leaves his car door unlocked.
I mean, it is the 90s.
I suppose it's a kinder, gentler time. I'll go with that. So he screams out, "I'm going to get you, you son of a bitch." And all the football game watchers look over. Who's that bastard interrupting my good time watching my kid's football game? And he drives off squealing tires. But then we get one person creepily looking over his shoulder.
It's Crazy Hat Man.
It's Crazy Hat Man with his creepy, foggy eyeballs. It's John Barnett. Well, sure. I mean, it's got me so far. I'm into it so far.
It's working. Mm-hmm. The train's still on the track here. So
yes. Yeah. So we're back at the FBI. Purdue is reviewing the photos, and he comes up with the startling revelation.
I've been thinking about it, Mulder, and I think that somebody is messing with your head.
Barnett said he'd get me. You were there.
I don't care what Barnett said. He's dead, Mulder.
Apparently not.
Oh, come on. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of guys who know that Barnett made the threat.
It's Barnett, Reggie.
How can you say that?
I don't know. I just feel it.
You know, all this talk around here about spooky Mulder, I never used to pay it much mind. I figured it was just talk about how paranoid you were and all.
And now?
Remember the day you walked into my office wet from Quantico? You pissed me off just looking at you, but then I saw how your mind worked, how you were always 3 jumps ahead. It was scary, Mulder. Everybody said so.
I've heard the story.
Yeah, well, maybe you ought to hear it again. You let a lot of people down here in the Bureau. They had big plans for you. A lot of people are saying that Spooky Mulder has become an embarrassment, a liability.
What? Are you saying that somebody from the Bureau's behind this?
Maybe, maybe not. Just always best to cover your ass in any event.
That's pretty dark. It's a comment that he felt he needed to make. I don't know that he actually thinks it's happening, but he thinks Mulder hasn't considered it yet.
Well, he certainly is not believing it's Barnett. He's thinking that somebody is taking this information and using it to get to Mulder, which frankly would have made for a better episode, I think.
Yeah. I think this is one of the reasons I like him so much. This character is so down to earth. And when I first met you, I hated you. Just that's what you do, I guess, in his position. He felt Mulder was arrogant, but then he saw how his mind worked. And he goes into this somewhat lengthy monologue about how, you know, Mulder, the name Mulder has become a liability. It's an embarrassment especially based on all the plans that the FBI had for Mulder because he was so good at profiling. But he just lays it out so well. I love Purdue. I don't know what it is.
Well, I like that they bring this up. I mean, we have not seen this particular plot angle for a little while now, a couple of episodes, because they've been mostly, reel out their monster of the week. But it's nice to have it come back. I mean, it's this constant threat of Mulder's career being in jeopardy because he's kind of coloring outside the lines. Mm-hmm. And frankly, it's the whole reason that Scully was assigned to him in the first place. So to bring it back and wave it in his face, I like that they take this moment to do that. And it's nice that they're presenting Purdue and Mulder with this case, which cannot be. It is impossible that Barnett, who has been certified as dead, could be back here doing this. So the fact that Mulder is pressing it is nice. It does sort of ramp up the tension here that this is not going to work out for you. Find another way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like Reggie as well. I wish they did more with him. I don't know. I mean, it's this typical thing to ramp up the tension. Shame to see him go. Ramp up the tension, you got to kill him off. So sure.
Yep.
So Scully then barges in, doesn't knock on the door. I mean, what is this, farm? Just go in wherever you want.
Yeah.
She comes in with Barnett's will, naming Joe Crandall as his, next of kin? I mean, he signs all his property and stuff. And we then have Mulder leave to go and play with some FBI tech that's going to make some, approximate photographs of what John Barnett would look like today. What do they call
magic? That? 90s magic.
Yes. Always go to a computer and see what it can do in real time. It's great. And as they are doing that, we have a little flashback scene where he recalls the court trial, where he was a witness on the stand. And then Mulder goes to describe the events that lead to Barnett's takedown. And you have a really nice point about the lawyer who is sort of leading the questions. I mean, this has got to be the district attorney, right?
It's got to be, because she's definitely on his side.
Yeah, she's not tearing him
There's
down.
this isn't a defense lawyer.
Yeah, well, speaking as a defense lawyer, he's doing a crappy job because these are all leading questions.
Very much so. So not one of these doesn't have a predetermined destination.
Yeah, it's a vehicle to let Mulder tell the story here. But yeah, she's definitely leading him. And I mean, we haven't pointed out Mark Snow yet. And I think this is a really egregious example of bad choices. I don't know about you. I did not like the music in this scene.
You know what? I would have to hear it right now. But as a whole on the episode, he lingers on that 4 or 5 note piano scale.
And there's a clanginess, and then in here we even have this kind of devil choral element to it.
Oh yeah. Okay. It is a little heavy-handed.
Yeah. It's all I needed was a red light pointing from below Barnett to really cast him as the creepy devil. Yeah. He's looking creepily at Mulder, drinking a little glass of water, and I'll get you. That whole element. It's just okay, I get the point you're making. He's evil.
Mm-hmm.
So fine.
The other problem I have with this scene is, there's 2 things. The small one being that Purdue says that other people heard Barnett say, "I'll get you."
Yeah.
In my opinion, he doesn't say it loud enough for anyone to hear it.
No, he mouths it. Yeah.
That's a small gripe, but I have a gripe. So the other thing is Mulder decides at the end of his testimony to basically force a mistrial, which they didn't even address.
Well, I don't think it was a mistrial. I think there's some cautionary...
I feel like it should be.
I don't know.
Because he's saying a bunch of stuff
no, he's venting. He's not dropping details that aren't...
He's not dropping new details, but I feel like he's just... Okay,
well, it definitely wasn't a mistrial, because poor Barnett gets 340 years consecutive. He's...
Yeah.
The trial worked, but I think what they allude to is there was a technicality which led to him not getting the death penalty. So I suppose you could draw the analogy that maybe this was the problem.
Yeah, I guess.
Again, Mulder screws it up, so Barnett doesn't get the justice.
Mulder gets someone shot in the face, and he makes sure this guy doesn't die.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Certainly... This is yet another example of them deciding to make Mulder have this personality element about his I don't know, dissatisfaction with how he's treated, or he casts judgment on Barnett. He stands up from his pulpit and he judges Barnett pretty harshly here. And it's like, I don't see him as that passionate. And maybe this is, again, a case of it's early X-Files, so they're still working at the kinks and who Mulder is, but they're making it a big deal.
If it was CSM and Scully had been abducted at this point, and that would earn it.
Absolutely.
But
and again, they just write up some exposition to give us this little backstory. It's like, oh, okay, I guess this explains why Mulder is kind of motivated here, but I don't think you need it to show that he's motivated.
True.
So, yeah, weird music. John Barnett's the devil. I mean, he comes off as creepy. You got to give him credit for that.
Oh, yeah.
So Scully tracks him down and gives him an update on Barnett's health. He notes that Barnett died of a heart attack, but she looked through all of the health records that were at the prison. He was admitted for an infection on his right hand. There was no mention of a heart condition. In fact, 6 months earlier, he was given a clean bill of health. Yep. So there's a bit of mystery there. Interesting. It's enough.
He developed terminal cardiac disease.
Yeah, from a hand infection.
6 months.
Yeah, bad hand infection. Well, it's enough for them to go to the prison to talk to old Joe Crandall.
Yeah.
And Crandall wheels himself through the hallway. They have a nice little walk and talk, or wheel and talk, I guess. It's a bad wheelchair, isn't it? Well, Crandall challenges the notion that Barnett died of a heart attack. So he has that whole thing where he stops moving and they said it was a heart attack. Dead. And he relates the last time he saw John Barnett, how he saw the doctor working on him, and that he took his hand clean off. Crandall confirms that it was Dr. Ridley, that he knew Dr. Ridley was lying when he said Barnett was dead. He saw him blink. I'll never forget that look. That's a pretty creepy scene. It's all right.
Yeah. But
this is the first name drop of Dr. Ridley, I think. We maybe had Scully say that this Dr. Ridley signed off on the death certificate.
Yes.
Anyway, it feels like it comes out of nowhere, that this whole Dr. Ridley business. But yes, it's going to be important, so listen up. Dr. Ridley is now a character we're going to have to pay attention to. So we go back to the FBI HQ back in Washington, and we have the nice arming up scene from Mulder. He's cocking his gun, putting it away. He's meaning business. And he's not going to hang around and wait for Barnett to send me another Valentine.
Yep.
We got a nice little interaction between Scully and Mulder on this point. And then we have a call come in for Mulder, and it's Barnett. Scully runs off to trace the call, and we have that little plot device of the call trace. Will he be on the phone long enough to trace the call?
3 hours or 30 seconds?
Is it 3 seconds or 3 hours? I'm surprised we didn't have the little off-scene business of like the numbers showing up. Yeah, and then the very last one
dots connecting.
So Barnett taunts Mulder, saying that he stood next to him in line for coffee this morning. Mulder taunts him back, trying to get Barnett to stay on the line. We have Mulder saying he wants confirmation that he is who he says he is. But in the end, Mulder believes that it is in fact Barnett. And he uses some kind of tenuous business from the guy being from New Hampshire. Like there's an accent that he plays back.
I don't detect shit.
Yeah.
When they play that audio recording back, I'm like, what am I supposed to be hearing?
Yeah, exactly.
Other than his voice.
Yeah.
Like
I agree that this is in fact a man talking, but yeah. I could have done with a bit more there. Some plot nugget that he drops. Like he's leaving he's leaving it wide open to say, give me some nugget that proves who you are, who you say you are. And I see no reason why Barnett wouldn't do that, to freak him out a bit more. But
right.
Anyway, he's going to get his proof soon enough, I guess.
Yeah, Barnett's going to send him a message proving who he is.
That's right. And we cut to Reggie Pardue at home. He's got a call, and Mulder is calling him to tell him he believes that Barnett is still alive, and he's got further detail to support it. But of course, Pardue isn't buying it because he is contractually obligated to be obstinate and conservative. He has to be the foil here. He says, you're crazy, Mulder. Go back to bed. But we see a shadow moving behind Pardue. And if we didn't know that Pardue wasn't going to make it through the episode, we definitely know he's going to make it. He's not going to make it now. His time is nigh.
So what happens to her, man?
Well, he's mentioning, just as he's mentioning that Barnett's right hand is amputated, Purdue gets very quickly strangled with a weird-ass hand. I mean, you can see it in the camera shot here. It's a spooky-looking hand.
It's gooey.
Yeah. And Mulder is still on the phone saying, Reggie, what's going on? What's happening? And a note is tossed onto Reggie's now dead body. Oh, I don't know. What did you think of this scene? Because this is where things took a big right turn for me.
It's just a weird scene. I mean, not only is it quick, but I think it has to be quick. But that gooey hand, we're like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I think my biggest problem, and you're probably not looking for this answer, but my biggest problem is Mulder's listening to Reggie get killed. Instead of putting the pieces together immediately, which he probably should at this point, because they're talking about a killer on the loose, sending him a message. He decides to stay on the phone and just continuously call for Reggie. Reggie?
What's
what
happening?
Are you doing, Reggie?
Did you
Reggie?
drop a glass of water? What's that noise? Are you typing your novel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit slow. Apparently, Fox executives had an issue with how long the fight scene was supposed to be. Thought it was a little bit too much, which I'm surprised the idea of that coming from Fox.
This is instant.
Yeah.
Instantaneous strangulation.
I almost wondered if the hand was poison, and he's like, it got touched and then boom, he's dead.
My only explanation is that because it's a goo hand, he like crushed his neck or something.
The windpipe is gone, and he just
just
cannot
eviscerates
breathe.
It.
Well,
I mean, but there's no reason to
somehow?
believe that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think even if you had not a doctor, not a windpipe specialist, but I mean, even if you did have your windpipe crushed, you'd still be flailing around trying to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you wouldn't just be dead.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit hokey. The fact that Reggie is so very quickly tossed out.
Dispatched.
Well, that's the way it happened, so we got to believe it. Afterwards, we have that classic trope that the apartment is now a crime scene. Mm-hmm. And Mulder's giving us some lovely personal details about Reggie, which just makes me love him more. It's like, why eliminate this guy? Why can't we have the Reggie and Mulder show? This would have been great.
Yeah, just make him a character you can come back to every once in a while.
I don't even know why he needed to die. Like, he could have been brutally attacked and fought off the intruder. And I mean, it's this thing, like, you got to make the stakes higher by eliminating the people that are close to your hero.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would see, but that being said, I would make him the last victim, because the next victim or potential victim is a nobody. It's Scully's friend.
Yeah.
But we don't know who she is.
Well, but ostensibly the next victim is Scully, if you're raising the stakes,
Yeah.
But then, yes, the moment at the end is, well, don't blow it. Maybe people haven't watched it.
Okay, we'll edit that out.
No, you can leave that one. So he goes on to, again, lament about how all this would be different if he'd just taken that shot.
Yep.
And I mean, it's of course leading to a moment of resolution at the end of the show where he's going to make a different choice. He's not going to make the same mistake. I mean, this is all how this episode is feeding toward this confrontation at the end, right? You kind of know exactly where this is going to go. Maybe you didn't know about it in 94, but certainly with modern eyes, it's like, oh, I know how you're writing this show episode. All right, fine. Well, Scully presses that we still don't know that this is, in fact, 100% Barnett. Mulder keeps on pointing at the note, funeral for Fox's friends and then for Fox. And we're back with Anderson at handwriting analysis, and she confirms that it was indeed written by a right-handed person. And that couldn't have been done with a prosthetic, even if this guy had his arm cut off and got a new arm, it totally wouldn't be possible with the level of dexterity and fluid grace, I think she says.
She gets into a lot of technical stuff, which is interesting to hear.
Hey, they did their research on handwriting analysis.
I buy it.
Yep.
And she talks about maybe there was a glove because there's some smearing going on.
Well, she actually suggests that there were no fingerprints on the note.
Mm-hmm.
So she's thinking it couldn't have been written with a glove because the I guess the letters would have smeared differently with a.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I knew you were getting there. But so she's calling at the point that there are no fingerprints, but he wasn't writing it with a glove. So how does that happen? How do you make the note without any fingerprints?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you could dust it or somehow clean the fingerprints off. But I mean, we already know about Weirdo Hand. So I guess what they're
We have the answer.
Yeah, they're laying the groundwork for this idea that the new hand has no fingerprints. Sure.
Yeah.
Not loving it.
Whatever. Whether it's goo hand or a glove, what's
Yeah.
the difference? I mean,
Yeah. Well, Scully then relays to us that Dr. Ridley was the one who, in fact, signed the death certificate, but he hasn't officially been a doctor since 1979. His license was revoked because of research malpractice. Mulder asks, well, what was he researching? And it turns out he was conducting experiments relating to progeria, advanced aging, where many patients die at around age 7. And this is a very heart-wrenching scene where they give us some actual footage of a progeria patient. I don't even know the name of their doctor that they're interviewing. He's he does a good job. He's
a good actor. He does a good job, and he conveys his disgust with Dr. Ridley.
It certainly indicates that
very well.
On the face of it, it looks like Ridley is concerned about the idea of a progeria patient. But in fact, we learned through this exposition drop that things got out of control. He wanted to do human trials, didn't care about his patients, but he saw it as a wonderful opportunity. I'm assuming to advance human knowledge, and he secretly went ahead with his trials, and then his license was revoked. And I think they say that he went on to go off to South America, or he disappeared.
Yeah, he disappeared. And
we have then Mulder using a superpower. Ridley found a way to reverse aging, and he tested it on Barnett. So Barnett has found the perfect disguise, youth. Which is an interesting twist.
It's cool.
Yeah.
But again, super stretched.
Could have gone okay with this. I could have been on board with this. It's the salamander hand. That is the thing that just loses me completely. But I understand that X-Files wants to do spooky out there sci-fi. This is going to be your sci-fi angle, is the reversing of aging. Sure, I'm okay with that.
Pick one and go with it.
So he goes back to the lab and he gets new simulated photos of Barnett, but instead of aging him, he's going to make him look younger, going backwards. I appreciate that they've gone back to the well here to do this. This is all right.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of this reverse aging thing is interesting. And I think had they focused more on this aspect and just made him a younger killer, which, obviously that's the resolution we're getting to, but I don't know, the whole salamander hand is...
It's totally extraneous.
Just left field stuff.
We'll get to it, but... So what I'm missing from this scene with the computer technician, the woman who's running it for him, I'm missing her saying, "You want to make him younger? Why do you want that? That's not how aging works, Mulder."
Why are you so spooky, Mulder?
I know Anderson down in handwriting wants to go on a date with you, but you're just plain weird.
You're weird. I'm going to tell her she has weird taste.
So we go to a Scully monologue. Been a while since we had one of these. And she's making notes on her computer, describing Dr. Ridley's work, and how there was no evidence that he made any actual progress. And we hear a door creak open, where she surprisingly doesn't get up to investigate. Let me ask you, Mike.
She does.
Well, eventually, but it takes another bit of creaking for that to happen. Like, if you were, just sitting here recording a podcast, just hanging out, and then down the hall, here's the other thing. You were alone at home. Your lady's out for the evening.
Yeah.
So down the hall, you hear a creak.
She is.
She is, in fact, out for the evening. All right. So, Mike, say you're alone at home. We're just recording a podcast. And down the hall, you hear a creaking noise. Would you, A, look over your shoulder and then just look back to me and go, "Oh, nothing. I'll just keep on going"? Or would you pick up your shotgun and walk over there immediately and investigate?
Personally, I would just brush it off and, go about my business, because I'm a mid-20s female who is unlikely to be attacked in her apartment by herself. So, just continue typing away.
This is in the midst of, Reggie Perdue has just been killed at home.
Yeah.
By
So,
there's
pay
already
it no mind.
evidence that he is targeting Mulder and Scully. He's done the black and white photos, high quality photos of them at their car. I feel like she's not taking it seriously.
She's got to get that monologue done, that profile.
Get these notes to. Well, Skinner's not around yet, so she's got to get notes to Blevin by the end of the day.
Yep.
All right, so she hears the creak, doesn't go to investigate, continues going back to her notes, and then she hears another sound. And she does get up to go investigate. And there is a nice little bit of tension here.
Yeah.
It's well done. We focus on the gun, and there's a long, drawn-out business where she's going to go and pick up the gun. Maybe she's going to get attacked before she gets there, but no, that's not happening. Mm-hmm. And she's clearing the rooms in her apartment, not tactically, but pretty nice,
Pretty decent.
And we got some spooky devil music in the background, so something bad's going to happen.
I like the weird kind of ramping up of it.
Yeah.
The music, the discordant notes that Mark Snow's hitting. It's cool. I like it.
It's not my favorite Mark Snow music.
No,
It's
definitely not. But
it has this I can only call it a devil's
waltzy
chorus.
feel.
It's like,
yeah.
but I don't know if it really applies here, other than to try and cast Barnett as the devil. But it doesn't really work in this episode. There's no devil angle, like prototypical devil.
No,
it's very much a sci-fi thing. So I don't know, what music do you use for a salamander hand?
I think maybe they're playing up Barnett and just as a devilish human.
Well, it's his
He's
theme.
so evil.
It's his theme song. So whenever he's going to come around and they want to ramp up the tension, they're going to use that because Mark Snow's spent a lot of time developing this theme. So more power to him, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, it's not, our intruder is not Barnett. There's a knock at the door. And as she goes to answer the door, the camera does pass the intruder. We don't see him. He's in shadow, but it does go past him. But she opens the door to reveal that this is, in fact, Dr. Joe Ridley. And she lets him in, and our intruder leaves. And we cut to commercial. What do you think of the look of Dr. Ridley?
He's not looking too well. He's got a little bit of health issues with his eyes.
A little bit of foggy eye syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, those glasses aren't doing him any favors either. Well, we have Mulder has arrived now, and he's interrogating Dr. Ridley. And he reveals that he's been in Belize continuing his research. And Joe Barnett, sorry, I guess it's John Barnett? It's
John,
yeah, it is Joe Calder, the wheelchair guy who we're never going to see again.
Oh, yeah.
So he's the only one left who survived the procedure. And Ridley, in fact, is dying from a rare cerebral vascular disease. This is the same disease that kills kids with progeria. And I wasn't, like, things move so quickly in this interrogation that it kind of lost me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only nuggets of information we need to pull from it is that he's been out of the country continuing his research and that John Barnett was his patient that I guess there was some success with. So
well, he had other patients.
Yeah.
And it's gene therapy. He does sort of say that Barnett isn't dying except for his eyes, which don't respond to the gene therapy. It just then descends into some real pseudoscience. It goes into talking about the production of myelin, and myelin prohibits us from regenerating, say, a hand if it was cut off. Mm-hmm. And to which I say, well, what does that have to do with progeria? Like, why did you cut off this guy's hand?
What did you do to these other children?
Yeah, and why on earth are you like, oh, I know what I can do. Listen, I can grow your hand back. It's just going to be a salamander hand. It's so out of left field. I don't understand it.
They're just trying too much. They could have one episode per idea.
Yeah.
And they chose to shoehorn everything into this one, and it's okay. So he's not only reversed in age, at least on the outside, but
he's got an alien goo hand.
By the way, he's been able to grow an arm off of a lizard gene. It's like, what?
Why would you do that to the same guy? I mean,
yeah. Like, we got too much biological stuff going on here. Let's calm down.
If we're talking about science, like, it's a shitty experiment. You know, you where's your control?
Your patient has come out blind and with a salamander arm. What are you doing?
Well, let's not talk about the third experiment I did on him, because that one was a complete bust.
Yeah, let's not.
That was the 24-hour erection therapy that really did not pan out. No wonder he's pissed.
Yikes.
My notes here are why, okay. So it's like you've bludgeoned
Just
me into
because.
just following along with your episode.
Yeah. Too much.
Well, Ridley knows, and he says that the man who controls the fountain of youth controls the world. And he then goes on to say when his credentials were revoked, certain sponsors came out of the woodwork to finance his research, including the U.S. government. Which, of course, naturally means we're going to have a tie-in with Deep Throat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Explain.
I am not particularly proud of the way in which this matter was handled, but like it or not, John Barnett is a fact of life.
I wish Agent Purdue were around to appreciate the irony.
The government knew full well that Barnett was in the country. You, of course, know that Barnett stole all of Ridley's research.
Yes, Ridley
Well,
was...
what Ridley doesn't know is that our government is bargaining with Barnett to buy it from him.
What does he want?
A lot of money, immunity, safe haven.
Will he get it?
He holds all the cards.
You're aware that this freak of science you're negotiating with is a murderer.
The information he has could change the course of mankind. Consider the options.
I will.
We have Jerry Hardin contractually obligated to appear in 8 episodes, and I suppose this is
Yeah,
going to be
I
one of
mean,
them.
you know, they mentioned the spooky government dealings and scary science. So obviously Deep Throat is the man behind that.
Yeah.
Or has the information on that.
And I suppose I've been harsh on this point before, the idea that they roll Deep Throat out anytime they want to make spooky government conspiracy stuff happen. But I suppose if you're looking at the plot as a larger whole, the argument that Mulder can draw upon him as a resource works. So
Yes.
long as Deep Throat is actually there to have the information available to Mulder. You know, if it is purely a one-way relationship where just Jerry Hardin, Deep Throat, whatever you want to call him, it sort of appears to drop information on Mulder to move the plot forward and then disappears, I guess it's a bit disingenuous. So it actually works that Mulder can be like, okay, I'm going to go ask my contact to see if there's any more information on this. But what does he really learn? You know, I guess it's to verify Ridley's story.
Yeah, it's to verify that and verify the government's interest in him.
Yeah.
And the fact that, are you guys letting him live because he has this information? And he even says it, he holds all the cards, so he's going to get whatever he wants.
Yeah. And more to the point, you know, they're going to deal with him. It's not that they are going to turn him over to Mulder for justice. It's like, no, we're going to let him fly because
he's going to live his life however he wants.
Yeah. So in that scene, they meet in a bar. Deep Throat reveals he wasn't particularly proud of the way in which this matter was handled. And he even says that Mulder, of course, knows that Barnett stole all of Ridley's research, to which I sort of heard that point and, you know, did my little head cock and go, wait, do we know that?
How?
You know, how
do we know
where
that?
does this come from?
Yeah.
Okay, so in addition to being an amazing cameraman, car thief, a jeweler, robbery guy, mass murderer, he also knows the research angle. He's also somehow able to steal Ridley's research, and knows how to reach out to the highest echelons of secret government to broker a deal.
Yep.
I do not like this villain. I do not like him at all.
It's the one of the hardest. Like, okay, obviously the science is the hardest part to believe in this episode, but the fact that a man contacts, in quotations, the government and says, I have information that can reverse aging or whatever, and they just believe him and are automatically willing to deal with it because they know who Dr. Ridley was, and that they were maybe aware of his experiments. Okay.
Sure. I mean, you
I think they would just kill him and take the information.
exactly, and then present the body to Mulder and say, "Here you go. Hope it makes you feel better. Saves you all that money for counseling you're getting." It's kind of lame to me, and I think
it's too convenient.
It is very convenient
for the killer. Why is the government even involved right now? Like, let's keep it simple.
Yeah, this is like the fourth thing to complicate the plot is now dropping Deep Throat in to talk about how essentially he's not going to help Mulder. And I look at this and go, what could have made this a bit easier or a bit less convoluted was to give us a bit more camera over the villain's shoulder. Because like they do that in other episodes. You know, we have more perspective from the villain.
Yeah.
I don't always like it when they do it. I think sometimes it maybe is more interesting if they don't. But this is a case where they are just making him out to be this super villain who has all this capability, and I don't really buy it. You know, they needed to think this through a bit more. Oh, and as we've said before, just streamline some of the more egregious elements of it. But I mean, Barnett's just this super caricature. You know, he's literally the devil.
He can just get away with anything and everything.
Yeah. So
all at once.
Deep Throat reveals that Barnett wants immunity, money, safe haven, and indicates that he'll probably get it, despite the fact that he's a murderer. And he ends up asking Mulder to consider the options. And we have Mulder saying, "I will." But his eyes certainly say that he's going to kill Barnett.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Deep Throat takes a breath. Oh, dear me.
Tell you what, I'll buy the next round.
Yeah. I would assume you would, sir.
Listen, you've got the platinum card.
Mulder just finishes his mug.
Yeah, in one constant, like 10-second long
just
glug, glug, glug.
Never takes his eyes off Deep Throat. You have disappointed me, sir.
I want B-52s next. So we cut to Scully in the shower, but we're outside the shower, and we're really looking at
oh, darn
machine.
it.
Yeah, I know. Fox didn't get their way in this one. So she's getting a phone call, and she rushes out to get it. Actually, I kind of dig this scene. So we have somebody retrieving Scully's messages from her 80s, 90s old school answering machine. Did you ever have an answering machine like this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you could dial in and you punch a code and it'll hear it and play back your messages for you. So she then is sort of listening to this happen, you know, going through the messages that are being played. She then goes back to the office, Mulder's office, I suppose, and offers him her answering machine. Gets a lovely little look from Mulder, like, "Oh, thank you. What's this?" And she reveals that there is one of Barnett's fingerprints on it from his left hand.
Dun, 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 dun.
And she goes on to explain how, you know, she was there. Somebody dialed in to get her messages. So again, supervillain Barnett is also able to figure out her code to do this. And I think I've already said enough about how much I dislike Barnett. This is just one more
ability.
sin on the pile of sins about his character. But we have another call now coming in from Barnett, where Barnett is now threatening Ridley and that he's going to kill all of Mulder's friends one by one.
Yeah.
So he's really ratcheting up the
During
tension.
this phone call, Barnett is acting very strangely. He's like consistently petting his chin
with weirdo hand.
With goo hand.
Yeah. It's subtle, but I get what they're doing there. Yeah.
We get it. You've got a weird hand.
A weird hand.
We know this already. We've seen it several times.
I'm kind of surprised that Mulder didn't sort of taunt Barnett with the idea that he hasn't got long to live. Because I have a feeling that Barnett's not long for this world, or that his eyesight is going to go completely.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been something.
It would have been better that he had something to work with, but he doesn't.
Yeah, Mulder doesn't have a lot to throw at Barnett at all. He's just kind of playing his game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about all he can do.
We have Scully revealing that she's meeting a friend before her cello recital. And we immediately know that Mulder is going to use this as a trap. We cut to the recital hall where we have a little confab of all the agents. And Scully and Mulder are given the briefing saying that Barnett may show up and they want to take him alive. He may not look like this picture, so keep your eyes open. And then we get a long tracking shot towards our cellist who's warming up and somebody's tuning the piano. And we then get the reveal on the hand showing that our piano tuner is in fact Barnett, complete with a creepy turnaround where we see his eyes. So, how complicated do you think it is to tune a piano?
The logistics of it seem difficult.
Yeah. It's super hard, actually. It's applying tension to screws is what it is, but there's an art to it, obviously. Like, you've got like, I think 88 strings you gotta. The point I want to make about Barnett here is that this is yet another skill that he has on his laundry list of Renaissance man skills, that he is now also a piano tuner, a convincing piano tuner. Has he always been a piano tuner? Like, I mean,
he got this random job in a local theater.
This is not a local theater. This is like a 300 seats place. This is a big ass recital hall. They don't just hire they don't put a Kijiji.
Oh, sure they do. Yeah. You, sir, you look like you can tune a piano.
Hey, buddy, do you know how to tune a piano? We got a situation over here.
We have a recital coming up. Can you tune a piano?
And let me bring you in the back way. There are all these FBI guys here that are looking at everybody's IDs. Listen, let's just push you past all of that. That was my first thought, is like, how on earth does he get past the security that they've set up?
And that's another issue. If he wasn't just recently entering the building, let's say he entered right before the scene starts.
Yeah.
That means the cops were there.
Yeah.
Or if that's not the case, which, by the way, is the most believable thing.
Yes, exactly.
He would have had to have this job already.
Yes. This is his day gig. And he's like, how fortunate is that? I'm going to kill Scully and she's going to come to my recital.
The final stick in this is who the fuck is going to hire a guy who looks like he can't see. Not only can he not actually see that well, to tune an instrument. I mean, yes, by sound, sure.
It's about the ears, but no.
But the intricateness of working inside a piano, I would imagine eyes need to be working.
I think just the creepy factor is enough for him to blow the audition. And he's like, I'd like to apply for the job as a piano tuner.
No, sir.
Sorry, I just can't get past
She puts the card up on the window, position filled. Out to lunch.
Yeah. Anyway, it's real ham-handed, and I know they have to get to this moment, but there are so many ways they could have done it that didn't involve lamenting the piano tuner. I just, come on, episode. But that's the hand we're dealt. This is what happened. So we cut to the next scene where Mulder is walking through the crowd of well-dressed recital patrons. Security is tight. We've got FBI agents walking downstairs, looking very efficient, talking into their wrists. Meanwhile, with gloves on now, we see Barnett arm himself with a giant revolver, sticking it down the front of his pants and walking into the crowd. A
Joker-sized revolver.
Yeah, it's this massive piece. I looked it up. There's a lovely website which discusses weapons used in film and TV. I gather weapons and guns are popular in the United States, so I'm not surprised.
No, not at all. Okay. It's not one of the biggest, hottest issues
in the country,
plaguing this country at all.
Well, Barnett's weapon in this case is a Taurus Model 66 357 Magnum revolver. It's a big boy. It's a shoot 'em dead kind of gun. But it is comfortably sitting in the front of his pants right now.
Well, as you alluded to earlier, the third experiment was a giant erection. It didn't go so well, so maybe it left a crater.
It's his holster. Okay, this got weird fast. So anyway, there's no nuance to this scene. He literally sees Scully, walks over to her, and shoots her. Just blam, blam.
I don't think she survives that. She gets 2 shots.
I will be the first to say, when I saw that gun, I thought, okay, we're going to be doing a little Google on this, because that looks like a big-ass gun, and the whole idea of her bulletproof vest saving her at the end, she's not dead. Because, this is episode 15.
She's not going out like that.
No, it's such a dumb death, right? And, of course, we have Mulder just look at her and say to another agent, check her out, and run off.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Barnett's not that important right now. What?
We got
send someone to chase him.
You got to be the one to get him, as opposed to your partner just got blown away. And
Yeah.
Check her out. I mean, I guess he knows that she's wearing a vest.
She looks fine. She's not breathing, nor are her eyes open.
Yeah.
So whatever.
You know, she's probably all right. She's wearing a vest.
It's only a Magnum.
I will tell you, having done a little bit of research there, in fact, 8 layers of Kevlar actually does stand a very good chance of stopping a 357 Magnum round.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't. I was just saying.
I know, but I will say that, like, I was ready to go, you know, wipe my hands of this episode and go, okay, you blew it big time, episode. You've gone along blowing it hard, and now you've really blown it. But in fact, somebody must have done some research somewhere to say, you know, is this feasible? And it is. I mean, it's not just a trope that she pulls open the vest and she's not dead.
Her locket has stopped the bullet.
That's right. It hit her Bible and then her one piece of the one true cross, and, you know, survived. But the thing is, if you were hit with that round, your sternum would be broken.
Yeah, she would be undergoing some recovery.
Yeah, she's not getting up and walking around the next day or the next 4 hours. Okay, fine. I'm going to move on from this point because it is actually not the worst part of this episode.
No, not at all.
So Barnett flees, goes back to the concert hall, and he takes the cellist as a hostage, and we're now in the end game. We're resurrecting the original confrontation between Barnett and Mulder.
And I like that.
Well, it took its bloody time to get to this point,
like
right?
the kind of mirroring of what he had to deal with in the first confrontation, you know?
Yeah.
He can't take the shot because there's a victim there.
Yes.
Or a
hostage.
Hostage. Yeah. God, I couldn't fucking think. So I like that.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, other than that, it's just, you know.
Well, I suppose the only thing that makes it a little better is that he's got this research that he's auctioning off, or he's got the secrets, and, you know, he's taunting Mulder that you can't shoot me because it'll be against regulations. Like, he's throwing all this business in his face, right? And
which is lame.
It's just lame. Again, it's supervillain Barnett who knows more than he should know about Mulder, about Mulder's quest for the truth, and all the reasons that he can't shoot him. And, well, of course, Mulder isn't going to make the same mistake again, and he shoots Barnett.
And you can see that. I do like the shot where he kind of squints a little bit, even if it is a little corny.
Yeah.
And he's like lining up the shot, and then he just takes it. I like that.
Yeah.
All the Barnett stuff, him talking, no offense to the actor, but I don't like this guy's delivery on anything, really. Young Barnett is not good.
I think that it is a matter of direction. I think he has been told to be insane or, you know,
or cocky or something.
The scene.
I mean, yes.
The scene is so poorly crafted because, like, there's no way out of this scene. Like, there's no way out of this that doesn't involve him dying.
Shots. Yeah, because, I mean, what's he going to do? Talk Mulder into lowering his gun?
Yeah.
And then they both come to a resolution where no one gets shot? I don't think that's going to happen at all. So
honestly, the better way would have been for... no, I don't know how you say this episode, but I think a more interesting way out would have been for Barnett to surrender, for him to drop his weapon, except that they needed to come full circle to this moment, and for Mulder to shoot him instead of not shooting him. You know, that was what the episode has been bludgeoning us toward, and so it ultimately had to happen, which I get you can do in TV. I just think it would have been interesting to have a different resolution, because then you would have had the more spy type angle of he knows the research and they're going to, you know, he's got the research papers, they're going to make a deal with him and it's not going to be palatable, but, you know, he holds over the cards, but then some kind of thing will happen. Except in that classic X-Files thing, nobody can have the research, you know, it's this secret that has to remain secret. So of course it's going to disappear. But anyway, it's clumsy and I don't like it. So yes, he shoots him. And of course, Scully comes to alive. She's wearing a bulletproof vest, and we see that the bullet has stopped just below her neck. And at the hospital, we see surgeons working to save Barnett while a CIA spook is trying to get the location of the research.
Yeah, but not just any CIA spook. CSM.
Is it really him? it's a long shot, so I didn't actually see
that's the question. Okay, so it is him.
Yeah, is he credited?
I don't remember. But I don't think that they would just use him and not realize what they're doing. So while Mulder doesn't recognize him, Scully doesn't recognize him. She's only seen him the 2 times, and they were both in the first episode, I believe.
Yeah.
So
well,
he's like yelling at Barnett, trying to get this information from him, and he expires before he can get any information.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is definitely or William B. Davis.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now. I mean, they obviously have not really done a close up on him or anything. So I'm looking at the episode now. He's just this figure gesticulating. He's overacting the heck out of that scene. So, yeah, okay, I buy that it's him. I don't think it's an effective use of him. They could have used anybody, really. Yeah, fine. If it is him, like if they made it a bigger deal of him being him, I would have thought, no, you use him in mythology. You don't use him for these kind of bits of business. But again, early days in the show, they're trying to figure out what to do.
They're still finding their footing.
Scully tells Mulder she knows what he did, and it wasn't by the book. And Mulder responds, yeah, well, that tells you a lot about the book, doesn't it? Barnett's heart stops, and he dies. Beep. So... well, I mean, our denouement is classic X-Files, talking about where the research is and we'll never know. Denouement has camera pushing in on a locker at a train station. Mulder's saying, somehow, I think we haven't heard the last from John Barnett. Because this show just can't let its villains go, right?
Right.
Just have to have that little thing of once more beyond the grave. He's going to have some resolution in a future episode. Yeah.
I think that's this writer hoping to get called back.
Yeah, maybe.
And he didn't. So
yeah, I'd go with that. At least, it's not like he dies on the table and then his eyes open up again. He turns out I'm not dead. He's in the body bag in the morgue and his hand
could really use a light.
Salamander hand reaches out from the morgue. Mike, aren't train lockers emptied every day?
That's a good question, sir.
Maybe that's a modern innovation.
I have no idea.
I'd be surprised if I ran a train station and I had lockers. If I was in charge of the lockers at the train station, I don't think I'd want to have people leaving their shit in there for more than a week or something.
Yeah, the fact that we're supposed to believe it's going to sit in there forever.
Yeah.
Okay. I could think of 1,000 other places that might be better than a populated train station where someone could be sold the key.
I think.
Or rented the key for the locker.
You know what would have been better, though? If the camera pans up underneath the piano and there's an envelope that's been taped in place there. Because he's a piano.
It's better.
He's a piano tuner by trade, obviously.
It's more interesting.
It loops back to his piano tuning roots.
He keeps the secrets back with his work.
That's right. And the pianist is playing, and they hit that top key and it goes clunk, clunk, clunk. And they're like, well, that's strange. Why is
that key's dead?
That key's just dead. What is it hitting down there? It's so weird. That piano tuner is terrible. All right. Let us get out of this. Mike, what are your thoughts on this episode, if you haven't made them clear enough?
This episode does have redeeming qualities, and I think we've discussed them.
Yeah.
They're very few. I like the episode because I get to see Reggie and Anderson. I think they're good characters that are fun to listen to and watch. They add something to the episode, and even Mulder's backstory for Reggie. Unfortunately, they are both characters that are just never seen again.
Well, if you brought Reggie back, that would be awkward.
Yeah, that would be a little hard. Although they do reference him later. A long time from now.
Okay.
The episode, we've said it already, so I'll keep this short. They're just trying way too many things.
Yeah. And
they feel the need to keep this as simple yet extremely complicated to get this story across to the viewers. And it's like, why couldn't you just focus on the progeria stuff? Why couldn't you focus on the reverse aging? Save the growing new limbs for another episode.
I think that
could be easily.
Yeah,
a
like
monster
you've
of the
shot
week.
your guy, he dies, but he comes back, or you
Yeah.
literally, he gets cut in half and then you have two of them. I mean, there's a neat episode.
Yeah. And I think that might be the draw of this show. This is the first season, so
Yeah.
people are getting to flex their creative muscles maybe more than any other show on television at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're hired for this show, you're probably got the juices flowing, and they're like, okay, well, how do we do this and make it really cool and interesting?
I think there is an element of trying to outcool one another in the writer's
That's
room.
kind of how it feels. And this episode, we've got 4 or 5 plot points that are like, what the fuck are you trying to do to your viewer? Like,
Yeah, well, as soon as Ridley comes in, and they have him drop this exposition about the science of it, my eyes glazed over because I'm like, I don't understand why. And then when you gave him a salamander hand, I'm like, well, what does that have to do with progeria?
yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. And they roll out Deep Throat and CSM for no reason other than to say scary government stuff.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not one that I always skip, but it's definitely not a great episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've used the word dumpster fire a couple of times leading up to this. And I think this is, again, a case, as you were just saying, they mashed no less than 4 plot points together. And it's typical of the episodes that don't really work. It's just so jumbled. We don't latch on to one thing. I mean, the only real touchstone they gave us here was the plot constantly coming back to Mulder's guilt over not having taken the non-regulation shot. That would have stopped Barnett in his tracks, and thus the events that follow on from his survival.
Yeah.
But my problem with that is that I think Barnett getting 340 years in jail should have been, that should have been a safe bet that, you're not going to, this is not going to be a future problem.
Right.
Especially the way that it rolls out, like having salamander hands and reverse aging. It's like, I don't think you could predict that as a plot point. So I get that they write him as being hung up about it and having that guilt about it. When this history is thrown in his face and he's now forced to reconcile with it. Oh, okay, I'm fine with that. But again, it's something that they paint on him to see if it sticks. And I'm glad that we move away from this plot idea that he has these demons that he needs to work through.
Yeah.
I think, as you say, they could have just chosen one thing and focused on it, and it would have been much better. Like to see Jerry Hardin. I mean, he gives a solid performance, but like in Eve, it's so tangentially related, it's almost not worth having him there.
Yeah, it's always a good day to see Jerry Hardin.
Mm-hmm.
So I've said it in other episodes. I'm just happy. I'm instantly in a better mood when he comes on screen because I love his character and he does such a good job.
Yeah.
But he's just not needed. Like that whole plot line, just toss it.
Yeah. Well, I think we have covered all the bases on this one. We have choked the life out of this episode.
Ooh.
Yes. So with that, dear listeners, thank you for walking with us down this dark path of Young at Heart, and we'll look forward to talking to you in the next one.
Take it easy. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at TINHXFilesPod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming. It's that time, everyone, the Magus Media Production sales pitch. Please check out our homepage at magusmediaproductions.net so you can stay up to date on all of our shows. Check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/magusmediaproductions, both of which have our Discord link on it, where you can join us for live shows as we record them for future release. At Magus Media Prods on X, our Patreon, patreon.com/magusmedia, where a $5 donation will help us keep the lights on and bringing you new content, and you get some stickers. Thank you for your consideration and support.